DL Labs is something that sort of stemmed from Silicon Valley-ish ideas, places like Google that give time for their developers and their staff to just work on innovative things. I always go back to this sort of cartoon where there's a bunch of guys who are pushing a cart that's scraping along the road. Somebody comes up with a wheel and says, hey, we could fix this. And they say, we're way too busy. We don't have time for that. And it's sort of that idea of saying, you can take a pause and do some work to innovate, and it actually speeds things up, even though you're not actively working on roadmap items. Depending on just how much time we have, it can run anywhere from 1 week to, I think the longest ones we've done are about 2.5 weeks. Everybody participates, so everybody has to participate. Even our Romanian partners, folks we work with in Romania, and everybody submits proposals on the work that they want to work with. Those proposals can be things that are user-facing capabilities, process, workflow improvements. Sometimes it's exploring third-party libraries or applications to see if we integrated those. How could it help us? And our developers really know our product super well. I mean, they're in it every single day. They see where the pitfalls are, the things that, oh, this is really annoying. I bet a user would find this annoying. Our developers are folks that care to understand the use case of why we're using the product. It's not just, hey, I want a button. I don't care what the button does. They want to know from a business standpoint why a user would do that. So they understand things as saying, wouldn't the user also maybe want this? So, they've got great ideas, and it's great for us to have an opportunity to get those ideas out on the table. They work on these projects. We have very few touch points on it, so we sort of don't try to micromanage and saying, how's it going? What are you doing? And at the end, we have people present out, and the presentations are a little more sort of, I guess I would say, sort of technical oriented of, why is this something that I looked into? What are the hurdles that I came across, and how did I overcome them? And looking forward of, okay, now that I've done this, what's next? A lot of times it is, let's just start doing this. So it literally changes the way we work. There are things that sort of pave the way for how our app works and the features that we build, and sort of the precursor to those. And then there's other projects that are just exploring different opportunities and just sort of proving out and saying, well, what's the realm of the possible? Even if it's not directly in the app in the near future, it just gets people thinking of, oh, interesting, this is where we could end up going. So ultimately, it is always something that is super, super powerful and useful and beneficial to the company. And and I'm glad our leadership in the organization kind of gives us those opportunities to do it, because it pays itself off manyfold.
So my name is Scott Moore, and I'm in charge of automated testing here at Decision Lens. And there have been a lot of benefits that we've gotten from DL Labs projects over the years. But the biggest, I think, is for a DL Labs project 5 years ago, we decided to spike into visual test tools. And we had the freedom to go research and experiment and tinker for a while. We were all, my team was still new to visual testing, so we're kind of getting the lay of the land, experimenting with different tools. We wound up having a clear leader after experimenting for about a couple weeks on it. We folded that into our normal day-to-day work, and now I just couldn't imagine doing automated testing without it. It's that crucial a tool. DL Labs, I want to point out, it's not our only chance to experiment or innovate. I mean, we often have to do spikes into new technology whenever our requirements drive the application into new places. But I feel that having DL Labs accelerates that process of experimentation, and it encourages us to do it more proactively and more collaboratively, because we're all doing it at the same time. You've got the whole team out experimenting, and it just encourages more than one person to take a look at these things and bring more perspectives to the table.
So my name is Siva Nukala. I'm responsible for APIs at Decision Lens. DL Labs enables us to get outside of our comfort zone and explore new architectures and frameworks. Using DL Labs, we were able to advance our tech stack. We were able to bring in WebSockets, Docker containerization into our product, along with event-driven architecture, microservices, NoSQL databases, and much more. It's a rewarding experience, and we are glad that Decision Lens can provide us the time and opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm Aaron. I'm in charge of the UI and Decision Lens. It's easy to say that you have a development culture of open-mindedness and creativity, and Labs is kind of the proof that we really have that. It's an opportunity for us to be creative and explore and look into new technology. And that's something that I love to do. I think probably all developers do. Some of the things that I've looked into while I've been at Decision Lens have led directly to the technology stack that we use in the front end, thing that we've done in the past, TypeScript and React and even some of the charting libraries and things that we've used are things that developers found and were able to explore during a lab cycle. Another thing that I really like to do is to build tools to help me build the tool that we build at Decision Lens. Labs is a great opportunity to solve those kind of problems that otherwise, I don't think I would be able to find the time to do this thing.
So my name is Bill Adams, I guess Dr. Bill Adams, although I never go by that. I'm the director of algorithms here, and I've had a lot of fun in DL Labs in the past. I had a colleague working with me who decided to analyze the Madden data set. So from the Madden football game in 2015, he did a clustering analysis to be able to automatically figure out what makes a good and bad quarterback and different kinds of quarterbacks just purely from the data. And using that, we could apply that information to algorithms that we were working on with real world data sets. But it was a lot of fun. More recently, I've had an idea for a long time for a new kind of genetic algorithm. Not just an implementation of a genetic algorithm, but a new technology. And I was able to get a team of people willing to volunteer with me to implement it. And that required the creation of a new library to even do this kind of algorithmic calculation. No one had done it before, so we had to create this scaffolding and infrastructure and then come up with some interesting toy problems to test it out on. So we were able to take standard models like the traveling salesman one and adapt it to this new world that we're looking at. We were able to come up with some really cool visualizations to see how this algorithm was working. The results were pretty spectacular, I think, and this should change how we do a lot of our calculations and algorithms behind the scenes. The work that's been done on it, my hope and our hope is that we can open source the infrastructure we've created and the research around that, release that out to the public along with publishing information about it, in addition to patenting our specific usage of it. We also used this recent time to create an infrastructure that we could do research on data sets, live data sets using Python, and find lots of interesting correlations and design research user experiences very quickly. So I was able to create a new user interface in a day in Python that could experiment out and see what would happen with actual live running data, and to test it out in something that would have typically taken weeks or months to actually design with a full stack. DL Labs exit.